no warmth, no cheerfulness, no healthful ease, no comfortable feel in any member, no shade, no shine, no butterflies, no bees, no fruits, no flowers, no leaves, no birds, November. I want to thank you for coming out on such a rotten evening. Some of you may have noticed we had an election this week. Which of you voted? I salute and congratulate you. You were part of a historic turnout for a midterm election, and what a difference you made. I confess to being one of those pestilential people who volunteered to knock on doors, make calls, and otherwise plague my fellow citizens to vote. Perhaps you among them. You see, my friends, it's a numbers game. The more of us who vote and participate in our democracy, the better we'll be governed. As for me, I continue to yearn for the day when we elect some poets to high office. You laugh. I ask you, how much worse could it be? For those of you new to the Arts Café, our mission is to present the nation's most celebrated poets, along with New England's finest musicians, in programs that lift your spirits as we deepen your minds. And if we have a little fun along the way, vote me out of office. So, on with our show. Our opening voice poet tonight is Nora Pollard, who comes to us with a new book of poems called Lizard Season, her 5th book. And I'm here to say that it doesn't get any better than this, because Ms. Pollard is a first-rate poet who often headlines at other venues. The illustrious Wally Lamb has hailed Ms. Pollard's poetry for its thrilling passion, vivid observations, and unvarnished truths. Ms. Pollard has received the Academy of American Poets Prize, and her poems have been featured on Writer's Almanac. That said, with hard work and good luck, an artist may sometime be struck with a kind of creative lightning that results in a breakthrough work, which is at once startlingly new and large, even while retaining the artist's distinctive and recognizable voice. Nora Pollard's new book, Lizard Season, is such a work. In these poems, Pollard retains the voice of an accessible, generous, and above all, trustworthy raconteur. It's a direct, irreverent, muscular voice, a Yankee voice. But the stories contained in the poems of Lizard Season are so consistently and impressively compelling, and so wonderful in their narrative and emotional range as to achieve a worldly, universal appeal and power. Many are the poet's own stories, but many others give insightful glimpses into the lives of ordinary people who have experienced extraordinary moments. The stories she tells are often funny, and like ancient fables, they deliver epiphanies of authentic emotional wisdom. And couldn't we all use a little wisdom right now in the weird times we're living? With that in mind, won't you please join me in welcoming Nora Pollard.
Thank you, Christy. Good God, I don't know who that is. I'm going to read you a poem about my dad and our relationship. And my dad is why I fell in love with language. He was always reading poems. No, actually reciting them from memory, you know, at the dinner table, maybe a little after when he was in his cups. And the poetry got to me as a young child. And as a young child, in fact, when I was learning to speak, he told me his name was Donkey Dust. And I called him that for many, many years. And when I got to high school, it turned to Donkey, and then college to Donk. So this is for my father, and it's called Donkey Dust. You teach me your name is Donkey Dust. You call Mama my Back Bay baked bean. You call her Maggie Two Shoes. You call your baby son my middly hittin'. You make up words. You make up worlds for me. Finnegan fairies, brownies, the water babies. I think sometimes that you are made up, for you are mostly gone. When you are home, not really here, for you are with the horses. Acres of time go missing between us. I grow shy of you. I make you shy. Little Shirley Temple, she ruins my life. I study her. I study her adorable ways, the dancing and the singing, pouty little mouth, ruffles, the counterfeit curls. Like magic, she wins over the old curmudgeon, coaxes the wounded out of a coma, brings together the estranged parents. It is not in me, so I lose the part of a daughter. A memory. I am 8. You are home again. You stand on the porch watching for weather. You're in your riding boots, old blue kerchief about your neck. My little friend Annie saying over and over, your daddy's a cowboy. I grow proud. Now I understand. A cowboy. A man who loves his horse, loves the girl, keeps himself secret, and always rides away. So shy we stay as I grow up, as you grow old. We find it so difficult to speak, but there is love, I'm sure of it. And then you fade to gone. In the casket, you look so handsome, so unfazed, all dressed up to leave again. Alone in the viewing room, we look on you, your freckled hands, your serious hair. You hold your Irish beads as chilly as you held your reins. Mama cries out, oh, he looks like his old self. Then, weeping in that constrained Back Bay way, I never knew him. Ashes to ashes, donkey to dust. Daddy, I hardly knew you. Come home, I'll ride out with you to learn your heart's strange country. Thank you. When my brother was dying, he came to live with me, and I would go with him from time to time to the VA hospital in West Haven. This poem is called The Doctor's Malady. My brother's cancer doctor at the VA was the coldest woman I have ever met. She had a body made of tendon, knuckle bone, and gristle. She had a hacksaw face. Not a bit of soft flesh to her anywhere. Never once did she smile, never a word of encouragement or kindness. She seemed to hold my truck-driving brother in contempt. The first time we met, I held out my hand to her. She gazed at it disconcertedly, as if it were a cow pie. She did not take it. But my brother never complained of her in any way. He'd only tell me what the blood tests said. One time I asked my brother, "But why is Herr Doctor so cold?" So he explained, not in any way crude or as a joke, but simply telling, as a trucker would, what is fact. She has no. Biology is destiny, some say. I imagine all the things that she lost out on in her life. No proms, no valentines, no man to make her beautiful with breasts. And then the loneliness, the kind that cures into bitterness. And though it was my brother who was dying, I imagined she had cause to think he had it good. I have friends, believe it or not, and this poem is about them and an evening together, and more than that. This poem is called The Mask. We sat around a table that evening, all 7 of us, at the Twisted Vine Tavern, Main Street, Derby. We were drinking wine, talking politics, laughing, reading poetry. My dear friends, I'd brought along in a bag something to amaze, perhaps startle them. A mask I'd found in the little wood near the river. A real mask, a sturdy thing, such as would be used in a Broadway play or an opera. A piece of art. It was all black, the face a rough skin of black silk leaves, cussed black leather horns, long and lethal. A human nose, narrow, mean. And the heavy black feathered eyebrows drawn down in rage. Hideous, magnificent, frightening, erotic, black art. At a good point in our conversation, we'd begun to argue about the afterlife. I asked my friends to close their eyes, and I carefully pulled the mask from its bag. Light from the little tea candles on the table picked out fringes of the saw-toothed facial leaves. Shadow deepened the harsh groove between the eyebrows. The nose gleamed like a knife. Just at the point when I was easing the mask over my head, the friend across from me opened his eyes. He gaped, he shrunk back, gasped, "Oh!" The others all opened their eyes. I had not yet gotten the mask on, so my surprise was spoiled. I said irritably, But why did you open your eyes? Because, he said softly, and not in jest, I thought you were going to shoot me. The waiter came just then with another bottle. Glasses were filled. The cork was tossed around. Chatter, laughter. The mask was forgotten. So I put away the hell-born thing, and things were as they were. But all night, I wondered what cause I'd ever given this man to make him think I could kill. Unless this night, he'd recognized in me all that I am capable of. This poem is for Christy. Sometimes a man lets you know him. The lobsters, blue, black, copper, and green, lie listless at the bottom of the tank. Only the one in the corner is frantic to get out. He climbs on the backs of the others, feelers waving wildly. He climbs and falls back, and climbs again and falls back again. Peace be to you, lobster. And here's friendly old Max, who sells the fish. Behind him, through the window of the swinging door, I can see the hanging sides of mottled beef, the white and yellow fat, the blooded pinks and purples, immense flesh flowers from a strange plain. Max is out behind the counter, sizing up the display. His hair sprouts out from under his baseball cap like small white wings. The sheen of fish scales rings his wrists. His blood-smudged white butcher coat comes to his ankles, for Max is a short man. He'll often say, "I'm small, but the oyster is my world." Always laughing at Max. Under glass, on ice, the salmon, grouper, cod, and catfish lie in rows. The bass have kept their heads, their black rubbery mouths downturned, or resting open, showing needle teeth. Max stands in front of the lobster tank, arms hanging slightly forward like a bear's. I hail him with, "Max, how goes it?" expecting to chat. I know him. We often chat. I know he survived a kid-beating hooch-hound father, as well as the Korean War. Married late, fathered 5, won the lottery for $3,000 in 2013. Found a human finger bone in a pig's stomach and keeps it on his desk. Wears blood on his sleeve, sells meat and fish to fat folks all day long. He smiles slightly and continues looking in the tank. "They're pretty sleepy today," I say. He only nods. Here and there, a lobster slowly waves a claw as though drowning in a dream. The frantic one climbs the glass corner, falls back. Max turns to me, eyes dark wells of pity. "They make me sad," he says. You don't know what a man is. You take the bits you see and you puzzle them together. The pieces move, they change, new bits. each one a small revelation. You don't know what a man is until he shows you his sorrow for the animals he butchers and the fish rolling in the sea's cold sway, and the rusted, weather-wasted swing set, and the war dead, and the survivors of war, and the parrots who suffer through the winter snow, and for the snow, and for that portrait of Marilyn Monroe, and for the blue blood of the lobster, and for its green gold grief. You don't know what a man is until you see the compass of his compassion. Then you know. And just one more. Well, I'll just blurt it out. It's called I Take Care of Myself Sometimes. It's probably some special day today. I wouldn't know. Bunker Hill Day, Day Austo's birthday, Sadie Hawkins Day, the Ides of March. I wouldn't know because I live alone. No one to remind me what day it is. So I'll take myself to the beach. Perhaps it's Seagull's Day. At the shore, the gulls are gadding about, waiting for their ship to come in. They spy a clam, snatch it, fly up, drop it, smash and eat. They float without effort on the morning wind. They rock without effort on the cuppy waves. They fly over the water, crying like sad and angry women. They look down at me expectantly. Look, I tell them, I have nothing for you for Gull Day. Get your own clam. A gull with one leg hops by. He makes me wonder why no one has ever cherished me. I look around at the mounds and mounds of shells. Some can have a shape like a bird, some like a miniature teapot, a shoe, an ear. And here's a shell at the water's edge that looks like a rose. A shell that is a rose, pink, long-stemmed. I scuttle down from the jetty to scoop it up. It's only slightly tatty. Gently, I brush off the sand. I carry the rose from dune to home. I put it in a silver vase. I pour myself some wine. I sit at the table and study the rose. I smile. Got my own rose. Thank you.
Thank you, Nora. Isn't she good? And yes, we have Lizard Season on sale tonight, a book I know you will love, I promise you. And as always, all proceeds for the sales of our books and record albums go to the authors. This gives me a chance to thank our friends at Bank Square Books. Aren't we lucky to have such a bookstore in our little town? And I want to also thank the Mystic Arts Center, or that is to say, the Mystic Museum of Art, as we know it now, for welcoming the Arts Café again. Our community is fortunate to have such a resource, and we are glad to be at home here. So, on with our show. For tonight's musical interlude, we're delighted to welcome back the remarkable singer-songwriter Lara Herskovich. There are some artists for whom the journey by which they came to their calling is both interesting and useful information. Lara Herskovich is one such artist. After enduring the usual enforced childhood piano lessons and composing the obligatory adolescent love songs, she had the good sense to get into law school, and the even better sense not to attend. Instead, she did a career in humanitarian work, including community development, education, environmental protection, and justice reform, with posts in Africa, Asia, Central America, and the US. While abroad, she picked up that most portable of songwriting instruments, the guitar, and it was then that she began to compose songs that would stick. Several pages later in the story, Laura Herskovich has issued 5 or 6 acclaimed albums, including her newest called Wingspan, gifted with a voice which has been described as clear and smooth like expensive liquor. She has been Connecticut's state troubadour and toured seemingly everywhere, performing notably at Pete Seeger's Clearwater Festival and on NPR's Prairie Home Companion. She's also a superb songwriter, a songwriter of conscience. NPR's Colin McEnroe has observed that Laura Herskovich reminds us that music can be heroic when it springs from a strong heart. So won't you please join me in welcoming back Laura Herskovich.
Thank you, Christy. It's great to be back here at Arts Café Mystic. This feels very much like home away from home. How about another round of applause for Nora Pollard?
Number 6 digits long. Never imagined you'd have to be so strong. Counted the hours till you could leave the place. All they ever noticed were your mistakes. Something written on a building you tried to see, but no one ever told you it was a possibility. And painted on the overpass, you prayed it told the truth. This is what it looks like when someone believes in you. It said you. It said you are beautiful. The wolves all around you had their say, but you get to raise yourself at the end of the day. So packed up your courage and left the rest. Started walking and hoping for the best. And like a flower through the pavement, you found your way to free. Staring at the sidewalk, you finally agree with all this graffiti and what it guarantees. You thank some stranger for helping you to see that you are beautiful. No matter what you look like, where you've been, what you do, where you live, who you love, or who you you pray to, what you know, what you show, what you try to hide. Look inside, look inside, look inside of you. 'Cause you are beautiful. 'Cause you are beautiful. 'Cause you are beautiful. You are.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That song was inspired down in Birmingham, Alabama by a bunch of graffiti artists who were in turn inspired by an artist in Chicago named Matthew Hoffman, who's using his art skills to do all this beautiful public art that just inspires all of us to be our best selves. It's on an album that I was thinking a lot when I was writing this album about good and evil, as I am thinking a lot about it these days. And I just was thinking about evil, and so I thought, all right, those monkeys, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, like, what's the deal with those monkeys? Like, what is their relationship to evil? Why are they see, hear, speak? Like, what's that about? Just hadn't really thought about it before then, and so I looked it up, and it turns out there's a big debate where, like, one side of the debate is that the monkeys are stopping evil because they're not engaging with it. And the other side of the debate is that the monkeys are perpetuating evil because they're ignoring it. And so as writers, I think there's a lot of other writers in the room tonight, we get to make stuff up. So I created a fourth monkey, fourth wise monkey who just sort of gets to the point and says, do something. Just do something. Do something to make the world a better place in all the ways the world needs making better. So now it's four wise monkeys, just so you know. I haven't told, I think it originates in China. I haven't let China know that yet, but. Places a person calls home, he wishes his wasn't the Coney Island cyclone. Nothing makes sense in this make-believe world, house of mirrors and the tilt-a-whirl. The wonder wheel lifts him up and lets him down. He dreams of the day he'll leave this town, the only ones around. Carny barkers and clowns, he waits to take his place. This way, step right this way. Saccharine smiles, anxious eyes, everyone hopes the high wire stays tight. He prefers to hover at 200 feet in search of two arms on the flying trapeze. The wonder wheel lifts him up and lets him down. He dreams of the day he'll leave this town, the only ones around. Carny barkers and clowns, the mass
comes the face. This way, step right this way. Everyone's guessing, but there's no doubt. Everyone's lonesome, but no one reaches out. Everyone's talking, but no one can tell that everyone's frightened, but no one calls for help. And the only ones around are carny barkers and clowns. Every mask becomes a face. Step right this way. The wonder wheel lifts him up and lets him down. He dreams of the day he'll leave this town.
Thank you. I'll let you decide if that's Washington, D.C. or not. So, right, the world needs us. The world has always needed us. I heard Dr. Ruby Sales, the great academic and civil rights activist, Ruby Sales, was speaking in New Haven not too long ago, and she just really plainly said, like, we've always had to fight for justice. We've always had to fight for morals that are pro-social values, and we still do. So we do. And so with this song, I would like to, I wish you wings. I wish for you that you get to do all of the things that only you uniquely can offer this world, all the gifts that you bring, all the things that are uniquely yours. I hope that you get to express those, because the world needs you. I wish you wings.
Grail, way over there, nothing here but empty canyon and open air. On the ledge, at the edge, someone tells me if I can take that step, the path appears. In the stillness, in my periphery, something calling. Wonder what it will be. Looking for the through line, leaning on any good sign that tells me I am right on time, right on time. Working on my wingspan, doing all I can. Working become who I am. I've spent my whole life fighting for my voice. Some say walk away, I never had that choice. I will stand with the poets, yeah, you know where to look. I will search for wisdom between the lines of any book, and I will sing my life right out to windshield wipers, metronomes, and you. All those things that help to get me through, yeah, I'm moving to a better view. Working on my wingspan, doing all I can. to become who I am. No matter what the future brings, there is magic in the offering. Don't know when, and I don't know why, but somehow the ground beneath my feet turned into sky. I'm working on my wingspan, doing all I can. Yes, I'm stretching out my wingspan to become who I am.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So I wish you wings. Yeah. The world needs every one of us to be our best selves. I say, like, it's a little rough out there right now. Like, take good care of yourself and take good care of each other, and so that we can all take good care of this place we call home. I'm going to share 2 new songs with you. This first one I was really on the fence. It's really new. Like the shine is still on it. And I wasn't sure whether to go there. I don't write a lot of songs like this, but these are not times that are normal times. And I asked Christy's advice, and his response was, it is the duty of poets to tell the truth. I thought, man, I gotta sing this song now. So if you're a big fan of Donald Trump, if you're a big fan of Alex Jones, if you're a big fan of Steve Bannon, now would be a really good time to use the restroom. No, it's, it's so new that it doesn't really have a name yet, but I think it's called The Empire Tonight, and then parenthetically, you'll understand what the parentheses is. So yeah, thanks a lot, Christy. Oh, that's not even where that goes, though. It's gonna go there. Okay. All right, while I'm tuning for this position, which is different than the one that I thought it was. Like I said, it's new. I'll ask you, if you want to keep in touch, sign up on my mailing list over there. I love to share poems that inspire, inspirational quotes, just like thoughts and ideas and so on. So please, if you do, for God's sake, make sure I can read your handwriting. That would be really, you don't know how many hours of my life I have spent trying to decide if something's a 2 or a Z or like something else. Yeah. Okay.
All the bells of Elmira are ringing tonight, singing out everything's all right. But friends, all is not well in our empire tonight. See, the emperor's just what he seems, standing by all the lies he believes. Oh, say, can you see, can you tell? They're all buying a bridge he will sell you today, the very same one he sold me yesterday. Remember yesterday? Thinks back to his childhood. Geppetto would never show how he learned to build boys whose noses wouldn't grow. He lets others pull all the strings as long as he's paid and they're kissing his ring. Well, While Pinocchio's friends are great puppeteers, they're using their skill to make love disappear, sending smoke through the windows, under the doors, and we didn't notice till we couldn't breathe anymore, anymore, anymore. Clear, he just doesn't care about you, about me, 'cause we're them over there. But I'm here to tell you the Emperor's scared. He knows that we know there's no clothes, no hair, and a mushroom for a let's not go there. Shaken, I feel it myself. The night feels longer than it's been, but we're better than him. And the sun will rise, rise again. Rise, rise again. Rise, rise again. Again, rise, rise again.
Yeah. Christy, thank you for having me. I'm gonna leave you with one more song. How about a big round of applause for Christopher on the soundboard over there? And all the volunteers. This doesn't happen by accident. These tables are not here all of the time. So thanks to everyone who's here, making a difference. All right, I'm gonna land the plane with love. This is also new, and I can't wait to hear Patricia Smith. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Yeah. Okay. Any questions? This is your last chance. Okay. It's being video recorded, so you gotta be careful. This one does have a title. This song is called The Castle Walls. Watching artists fill the Pantheon with angels, feeling a little more hopeful myself. I was lost and looking for the Spanish steps. You rolled up your canvas and offered your help. I let you take my hand. You said my wish would be your command. We were over before we even began. But why let that ruin a perfect plan? The castle walls are made of ice, and you're a bonfire burning bright, bright, bright.
sipping cold rosé at your cousin's cafe. I was Audrey, you Gregory Peck. We would make a perfect escape. You got the Vespa and we rode away. You said something in Italian. I pretended to understand. From the mouth of truth to the Trevi fountain, tossing in wishes, wishes again. The castle walls are made of ice. You're a bonfire, burning bright, bright, bright. I try to finish the things I start, but you're a messy painter with a messy heart. So I'm 7 miles high through the Atlantic sky, staring out this window into the dark. 'Cause that could not be my home. I'm getting better, leaving well enough alone. So I step away from the whiskey, step away from the phone. Sometimes that's just how it goes. The castle walls are made of ice. You're a bonfire, burning bright, 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 bright.
Ladies and gentlemen. Let's see, what are these announcements? Firstly, the Connecticut Authors and Publishers Book Expo. Let me get that right. The Connecticut Authors and Publishers Book Expo is upcoming here at the Mystic Museum of Art on December 8th from 1 till 5. You can enjoy complimentary wine and snacks as you browse books by Connecticut authors, some of them right here in this room tonight, and publishers at that is the Expo's holiday gift market. Did you get all that? December 8th, 1 to 5 here. Let me also call your attention to something upcoming at the LaGrua Center in Stonington Borough. This is a Fado alert. If you don't know what Fado is, you really should. On Saturday, goodness, it's also that same Saturday, December 8th. That's all right, because this one happens at 5. You can browse for books from 1 till 5, have the cheap wine and that kind of stuff. And then you can go hear Fado at Stonington's LaGrua Center. It's at 5 o'clock, as I said. And The photo artist in question is Sonia Betancourt. And if you haven't caught Sonia, oh, you need to change your life. She is vocal. Did you catch that? Mm-hmm. December 8th, 5 p.m. How much are you going to get for that, Christopher? 15. This is part of the Music Matters series at La Grua, which is directed by my compadre, Christopher Greenleaf. They're feeling it for you tonight. Okay, lastly, I want to call your attention to the back of your program. Can I ask you, do any of you actually read this thing? Oh, good, good. Well, I should tell you that I spend a lot of time on the thing. Anyhow, the Arts Cafe is going to return for its 25th spring season in March with our annual Youth Will Be Served program. Always a heartwarming and fun program. Then on April 12th, we'll be presenting the National Book Award winner, Mark Doty, one of the nation's great poets. We are hitting it out of the park, my dears. You won't see poets of this caliber, Patricia Smith, Mark Doty, and Marilyn Nelson, very often in your lives. Anyhow, and then in May, we'll present Marilyn Nelson. We hope you'll be back with us. By the way, if you're not on our email list, you can sign up for it too at our book sales table. We'll keep you abreast of the action if you do. Tonight is the concluding program of the Arts Cafe's 25th fall season. I'd like to take this moment to thank our volunteers and members of our board. I won't name them all. They're all in your program, of course. But without our volunteers, without our board, this outfit simply would not go. They are the energy, they are the sweat labor that makes the Arts Cafe go. So take a moment and look at the second page of your program and see the people in our midst who make this all happen. Since I'm handing out thanks, I'd like to thank the many of you in our audience who support the Arts Cafe with your donations. Happily, there are too many of you to name also, but if you have a look at the list in your program, you'll see who they are, and you might want to find your name among them, which is so easy to do. So, on with our show. Boy, I have looked forward to this moment because tonight's featured poet, Patricia Smith, is not only broadly acclaimed as one of America's best poets, she's also one of the most interesting artists of our time, a force of nature whose talent cannot be contained by literary genres or aesthetic norms. Consider, for example, that Ms. Smith has written and acted in several plays, including under the direction of the great poet and Nobel laureate, the late Derek Walcott. Consider that Ms. Smith is also the author of the award-winning children's book, Jana and the Kings, and the companion book to the PBS series, Africans in America. Consider, too, that Patricia Smith is the all-time greatest spoken word artist. I do not exaggerate, having set all the records as the 4-time national individual poetry slam champion. Films of her recitals have won awards at Sundance, San Francisco, and women's film festivals. And as a slammer, she starred at Carnegie Hall and festivals all around the world. And then there are her poems. Patricia Smith is one of America's most honored poets. Indeed, her newest book, Incendiary Art, has received the Kingsley Tufts Award, the Los Angeles Times Book Prize, the NAACP Image Award, and was a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize. Her 7 previous books of poems likewise received a boatload of coveted honors, among them the Leonore Marshall Prize from the Academy of American Poets, the Carl Sandburg Award, Pushcart Prizes, the Patterson Prize, and she was a finalist for the National Book Award. Patricia Smith's poems are marked by their intensely lyrical language, which is wonderfully balanced by a pitch-perfect ear for both street talk and the argot of her mother's rural Alabama. She's also a master of formal verse, composing sonnets, villanelles, and forms so hard to pull off, I've forgotten the names of them. And no other poet can match the laugh-out-loud bravado of her poems. She's also a powerful moralist. Her poems take on the seminal moments and salient issues of the day with a passionate empathy that entreats us to weigh the world's injustices against the possibility of human goodness. Indeed, there is an urgency about this poet's voice. Her poems matter. With joy and fury, humor and sadness, she tells it like it is. My friends, it is a great privilege to introduce you to Patricia Smith.
Thank you. I was sitting there just thinking over and over, it's just me. It's just me. I'm so happy to be back here. This is kind of like my New England home. I was checking into the hotel earlier and, they were being very nice to me and stuff, and I expected her to say at the end, like, and what is your relationship to foliage? Which is why everyone else is here. Wow, thank you, Christy. Thank you for this invitation. Thank you all for being here. I can't really start without acknowledging the fact that Stephen Dobbins is here. And Stephen Dobbins is the reason that I turned in one direction instead of the other. And I would say that I probably would have been a slammer much, much longer if not for him. He taught me that you should never let any story sit still. Because if you let the story sit still, it dies, and no story deserves to die. So I'm very, very happy to be here in the same room with him. And I'm going to do this poem first because you know how the writers of you will know this. You know, you see something in a newspaper or magazine and you cut it out and you say, I really do have to write about that, and then you move it from one place to another and you look at it and you say, surely someone else has written about it by this time, and then you do it again, So this is about 2 articles that were on my desk for a long time, and finally I decided that I would write about them. In February 2010, 21-year-old student Samshidin Abdur Rahim abducted his 3-month-old daughter, Zara. He placed her in a knapsack, drove to a bridge on the Garden State Parkway in New Jersey, and threw her out of the passenger side window of his car. She drowned in the Raritan River, more than 100 feet below. In November 2011, also in New Jersey, Arthur Morgan III picked up his 2-year-old daughter, Tiara, for a trip to the movies. Later, Tiara was found face down in a frigid stream beneath a park overpass, strapped into a car seat which had been weighed down with a car jack. It was unclear whether she was thrown from the overpass or carried into the park and placed in the water. The 5 stages of drowning. Surprise. There is no drunk like the drunk of milk sleep. A drizzled white floods the body and weighs down everywhere we think we know about awake. Zara's new clockwork staggers with it, while Daddy, grizzle and wild-eye, lobs her like trash over the rusting rail. Inside the sack, the wriggling child cannot translate fly, plummet, descend. She doesn't realize the hard questions she poses for pigeons, or how, so dull and stupid with dairy, she is all the fall the sky can language. Babies accept what they are given. They never question the morning's flood of sun, a kitchen's blaring stink, or the wide hovering faces of fathers. After a swollen breeze pries her eyes open in the few seconds it takes for the fevered discarding of daughter, baby doesn't ask the sun, needling light into the sack to offer rule or direction. Zara Malani Lynn Abdur Rahim, little not bird, has been jettisoned, ditched, unloaded. Her snared arms can find no rhyme for wing. The river's glittering trash smacks her blunt, but not before her tiny O fails its role as mouth, not before language breaks its promise to wait for her. If Zara can conjure no word for word, can find no way to bellow, "Up, Daddy, up," as she tumbles, stuffed inside a down, 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 reeking so oddly of him, how would she voice panic born of the day's quick fist? Slapped awake, she breathes in the close cloth and feels the little ruckus of a new heart. The startled river opens, then closes over her, the way a new mother would. Involuntary breath holding. Imagine filling your whole body with everything you are and then holding it there. Imagine the smallness of that body. You are nothing but the easy of blue, red, and green, food you have smashed with your fingers, and the stumbling possibilities of walk. Imagine not knowing that the ability to contain all of you in tiny ballooned cheeks decides whether or not you continue. Imagine not knowing the word continue. Quick wisp of fish nip warily at those fat cheeks, fall into irreparable love, and decide to make a new religion of you. Hallelujah, you are now a religion, a church of slither and slide while Daddy roars his glee into noontime traffic, not thinking about you, but thinking about your mother and screeching, "Oh, she got another man now, huh? Well, with that hoe, I got something for her. I bet this gonna fix her now." And you, Tiara, are the fix for her now. You are the fix for your mother's now. You are the pawn in a payback that cannot be unplayed. And your daddy, now miles away from your slow plunging, does a lousy parking job and stumbles into a smoky, red-walled gin mill populated by other men without daughters. Hoisting a fat gold shot, he toasts his one accomplishment, the uncomplicated removal of a complication, while your cheeks deflate and the door to your next minute closes. You were alive when the stream first lapped its way around you, and the d sound comes so sweet to the mouth of a baby who wants it. You laughed, "Daddy," until the giddy fish re-examined their worship of you. You coughed, "Daddy," until Daddy was nothing but sound. Then you spat into the mud until you couldn't. The fickle fish, back in love, kissed the place where your breath had been. Hypoxic convulsions. Daddy is the architect of a baby girl's roll and rock. He teaches her to manage slink, schools her in a woman's wet engine. If Zara lives, which she most definitely will not, somebody else's daddy will teach her all the one way there is not to get lured into a sack, how to lay quietly in the wrong skirt while her muscles argue, how one well-timed convulsion usually clears the dance floor. Like good drowning, good dancing hits the backside like an annoyance that must be Watusi'd loose. But how to respond to a sudden wet that's out to rearrange? Of course, drums are injected, and Tiara, all thrash and snapdragon, shimmies for her giggle back. Baby is the battery black women build their bodies around until they're old enough to be officially romanced by yet another revision of Jesus. But right now, they're too little to feel the full hand of the Jesus voice, the caress of pop proverb. They're flirting with that big daddy for all their little worth. Look at that itty-bitty jerkin' boogaloo, the pop swirling of hips they can't find, that runaway rim shot in unfinished chest. They're rearing back, opening wide, rearing back, opening wide, rearing back, both throats opening and slamming shut with river. Cue the skanky music. Brackish water snags the rhythm, controls their arms and ankles, gleefully involves their necks. It says, baby, save the last dance for me. Unconsciousness. The river, though. Sluggish and cagey and habitually she has not decided whether or not to accept Zara, this vexation in her mouth. She is dazzled by choke, flopped blossoms, and the occasional seduced diver, but repulsed by all frailties of skin. The river is seldom in a mood to have her swerve scrutinized or interrupted. Now, what is this hindrance keeling over in my current? Prying the sack wide with gush, she prods the puckered contents, is not entertained. Intending to add the ugly pudge to her baubles, she finds that she cannot rouse it, is so not entertained. The little blue knot fish thing is flaccid, so unfun, snazzed up in its soppy petaled pink, the eyes slit and rolling, nappy crown trapping living things that desperately need to breathe. The hide skids and burps. The river's most devoted feeders, so jazzed at first, have already had a go at it. And the thing won't give the river its props, won't beg for refuge in the water's arms. It won't say anything. The river flicks a bored blue finger at it, then flicks it away. She is so over this drama. The end of anything is only a kick to watch once. Clinical death. The final stage in the drowning process is death. Clinical death occurs when both breathing and circulation stop. The victim is in cardiac arrest. The heart stops pumping blood. The vital organs are no longer receiving oxygen-rich blood. The lack of oxygen causes the skin to turn blue. There are 52 shades of blue, or 1,052,000, depending upon which river you ask. 3, cornflower. 17, cerulean. 21, blunt force. 28, turquoise. 34, navy. 37, fix for her now. 41, sky. 47, goodbye, but the way the river says it. Bye, all dismissal and shade. 52, goodbye, but the way a father says it, over his shoulder, thrilling the done of the deed, already mad at the traffic. This next poem is from my friend Lisa Starr. Something from long ago. I watch a lot of bad movies. I watch a lot of campy things, and this was from, I'm sorry. This is from Clash of the Titans. Not the new one, the old one. You know how you're getting ready for work and you see the skeletons fighting on TV and you go, I can't go today, I have to watch the rest of this. So this was This was Medusa. You know, so he goes in and the cave is all dark and Medusa's like, blah, 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 you know, and he's got to chop her head up. So I was watching and I was like, oh, I forgot, how did Medusa become Medusa? And what she had done is she made love to Poseidon in Athena's temple. And Athena was like, oh, no, you didn't, you know? So then she just decided, well, I'll just do this thing to you where you look at men and then, you know, they turn to stone. And I think that was all she was going to do. And she was walking out and she said, and, you know, and the hair went, ah, you know. So at first I was going to write this poem about Medusa going to the hairdresser because that's what we do, you know. But nothing comes out. I try to do funny things and nothing ever comes out funny. When I'm happy, I'm off being happy. When I'm writing poems, I'm doing this kind of stuff. So this is 3-minute introduction, 1-minute poem. This is Medusa as her body is going through these changes. Hope I remember it. Poseidon was easier than most. He calls himself a god, but he fell beneath my shaking more than any mortal. He wept when my robe fell from my shoulders. I made him bend his back for me, listen to his screams break like waves. We defile that temple the way it should be defiled, squirming and our way from corner to corner. You know, the goddess probably got a real kick out of that. I'm sure I'll be hearing from her. She'll give me nightmares for a week or so, that I can handle. Or she'll turn the water in my well into blood. I'll scream when I see it, and that'll be that. Maybe my first child will be born with the head of a fish. I'm not even sure it was worth it. Poseidon pounding away at me like a madman, losing his immortal mind because of the way my copper skin swells in moonlight. Now my arms smoke and itch. Hard scales are rising on my wrists like armor. Come on, Athena. He was just another lay, and not a particularly good one at that, even though he could spit steam from his fingers. I won't touch him again. Promise. And we didn't mean to drop to our knees in your temple, but our bodies were so hot and misaligned. It's not every day a gal gets to sample a god, you know that. Why are you being so rough on me? I feel my eyes twisting, the lids crusting over and boiling, the pupils glowing like red coals. Athena, woman to woman, could you have resisted him? Would you have been able to wait for the proper place, the right moment, to jump those immortal bones? Now my feet are tangled with hair. My ears are gone. My back is curving and my lips have grown numb. My garden boy just shattered at my feet. Athena, take away my father's gold. Send me away to live with lepers. Give me a pimple or two. But my face, to have men never again gaze at my face, growing stupid in anticipation of that first touch. How can any woman live like that? How can I watch their warm bodies turn to rock when their only sin was desiring me? They just want to see me sweat. They just want to touch my face and run their fingers through my hair. Is it moving? Thank you. So I was talking earlier about where I teach. I teach at the world-famous College of Staten Island. And I have a hard time getting my students to write. So one day, it was time for their final. It was a poetry class. And I come in and, you know, their shoulders are all slumped and they're trying not to meet my eye because none of them have been in class, you know, more than twice. And they're just like, and I said, good news, no final. Yay, yeah, they carry me around the room on their shoulders, you know. I said, but I have something else I need you to do. And I asked them what their most difficult age was. So what was your most difficult age, anybody?
13.
13, 47 yesterday. Anybody? 12, yeah, 80. Oh, so we've got so much to look forward to. So their consensus was 13. And if you think about 13, 13 is kind of universally miserable, okay? If you have skin at 13, something's wrong with it, right? And then the voices are cracking and this whole nether region thing nobody can figure out, and yeah. So I said, here's what I want you to do. This is your new final. I want you to write me a poem about being 13. I want it to be 13 stanzas, 13 lines each stanza, and 13 syllables each line. Don't you wish you were in my class? And they were all excited, you know. So every time I give my students something like that, I do it too. And of course, my 13 and their 13 was really different, but some things were kind of the same. So I'm not gonna read all 13, I'm just gonna pick a couple of these out, okay? All right, let us visit 13. I can't believe I'm doing this first stanza, but I am. 1. You touch your forefingers to the fat clots in the blood, then lift its iron stench to look close, searching the globs of black scarlet for the dimming swirl of dead children. You thread one thick pad's cottony tail, then the other through the little steel guides of the belt. I love when there are women my age in the audience. You stand and lift the contraption, press your thighs close to adjust the bulk, then bend to pull up coarse white cotton panties bleached blue, and just to be safe, you pin the bottom of the pad to the shredding crotch of the Carters. Then you spritz the guilty air with the cloying kiss of FDS. You can just smell it, can't you? It's time to begin the game of justifying ache. Time to name the mystery prickling that's riding your skin. You're convinced the boys can smell you. Now they can. 2. Right now, this Tuesday in July, nothing's headier than the words sheen, manageable, bounce. Squinting into the smeared mirror, you search your head for them. You probe with greased fingers, spreading paths in the chaos wide enough for the advertised glimmer to escape, but your snarls hold tight to their woven dry confounding. Fevered strands snap under the drag of the wiry brush, and order unfurls, while down the hall your mama rotates the hot comb in a bleary blaze and smacks her joyful gum. Still, TV bellows its promise. You witness the pink snap of the perfect neck, hear the impossible vow. Shampoo with this, sheen, bounce. Her corn silk head is gospel, it's so true. Come here, child. Even your mother's calling you burns. Oh, I was gonna skip over these, but I like them. 3. Miss Stein scribbled a word on the blackboard, said, "Who can pronounce this?" And the word was anemone. And from that moment, you first felt the clutter of possible in your mouth. From the time you stumbled through the rhythm and she slow smiled, you suddenly knew you had the right to be explosive, to sling syllables through back doors, to make up your own damn words if you needed them. All that day, sweet anemone tangled in your teeth, spurted sugar tongue, led you to the dictionary where you were assured that it still existed, to the cave of the bathroom where you warbled it in bounce echo, and finally, convinced you owned that teeny gospel, you wrote it again and again and again and 4. Trying hard to turn hips to slivers, sway to stutter. You walked past the Sinclair station, where lanky boys, dust in their hair, dressed in their uniforms of oil and thud, rename you victim with their eyes. They bring sound, shudder, and blue from their throats just for you, serve up ancient sonata of skin drum and conch shell, sing suggesting woos of AM radio. Boom, boom, how you just gonna walk on by like that? And suddenly you know why you are stitched so tight, cramped like a flash bomb into pinafore, obeying your mama's instructions to be a baby as long as you can. Because it's a man's world. And James Brown is gasoline, the other side of slow zippers. He is all of it, the pump, pump, The growled, please, please, please. 8. In the bathroom of the Whatnot joint on the way to school, you get rid of the starch and billowed lace, barrettes taming unraveling braids, white knee socks, and sensible hues. From a plastic bag, you take out electric blue eyeshadow, platforms with silver glittered heels, neon fishnets, and a blouse that doesn't so much button as suggest shut. The transformation takes 5 minutes, and you emerge feeling like a budding lady, but looking, in retrospect, like a blind streetwalker bursting from a cocoon. This is what television does. Turns your mother into clueless backdrop, fills your pressed head with the probability of thrum. Your body becomes just not yours anymore. It's a dumb little marquee. 9. With your bedroom door closed, you are skyscraper bouffant, peach foundation, eyelashes like upturned claws. You are exuding ice. You are pinched all over by earrings. You are way too much woman for this room. The audience has one chest, a single shared chance to gasp. They shudder, heave, waiting for you to open your mouth and break their hearts. Taking the stage, you become an S, pour ache into hip swings, tisk tisk as the front row collapses. Damn, they want you. You lift the microphone, something illegal comes out of you, a sound like in oil. I wrote that. Okay. Mama flings the door open with a church version of your name. Then you are pimpled, sexless, ashed, and double Dutch knees. You are spindles. You are singing into a hairbrush. 13. You're almost 14, and you think you're ready to push beyond the brutal wisdoms of the 1 and the 3, but some nagging crave in you doesn't want to let go. You suspect that you will never be this unfinished, all Hail Mary and precipice, stuttering sachet, fuses in your swollen chest suddenly lit and spitting, and you'll need to give your hips a name for what they did while you weren't there. You'll miss the pervasive fever that signals blooming, the sore lessons of jump rope in your calves. This is the last year your father is allowed to touch you. Sighing, you push Barbie's perfect body through the thick dust of a top shelf. There, her prideful heart thunders. She has heartened you well. She has taught you everything. Thank you. One of the other things that I learned from my mentor was to always listen for the voice you're not hearing. And when I was starting to write this book, I was very much thinking about the number of young men and women of color who had lost their lives, sometimes but not always, at the hands of the police. And the voice that I never saw in those stories was the mother's voice. You see the mother twice. You see her at the beginning in the midst of chaos when someone comes to tell her her child is gone, and then you see her at the end of the story briefly when the person deemed responsible for the loss of her child is deemed not responsible for the loss of her child. And then she disappears. You don't see her. You don't see how she attempts to fold herself back into some semblance of a life. So there is a portion in my book, Incendiary Art, that's called Sagas of the Accidental Saint, which is about kind of in the voice of that mother. So I'm just going to read an excerpt from that, and then you'll see some stories. I try to take a number of different stories and look at them from the mother's point of view. So I'll read a couple of those. That's my son collapsed there, my son crumpled there, my son lying there, my son positioned there, my daughter repositioned there, my daughter as exhibit A there, my daughter dumped over there, my son hidden away there, my son blue there, my son dangling there, my son caged there, my daughter on the gurney there, on the slab there, in the drawer there, my daughter splayed there, my son locked down there, my son hanging out there, my son bleeding out there, my son growing frigid there, my daughter deposited there, my son inside the chalk there, my daughter being bagged there, my son on the slab there, my son crushed there, my son rearranged there, my son crumpled in the door there, my daughter's neck shrinking in the noose there, my son's left eye over there, my son as exhibit B there, my son behind the wheel there, my son under the wheels there, my son slumped over the wheel there, my son, my daughter blooded and not moving in the doorway, on the stoop, down the block, in front of her kids, just inside the barber shop, face down in the street, outside the bodega, inside the bodega, in the back alley behind the bodega, on the videotape a block from home, leaving home, hanging out at home, in the schoolyard, on the blacktop, in his bed, in her kitchen, in my arms, in my arms, in my arms. That's my son, shot to look thug. That's my daughter, shot to look more animal, shot as kill, shot as prey, shot as conquest, shot as solution, shot as lesson, shot as warning, shot as comeback, shot as payback, shot for sport, shot for history. That's my son not being alive anymore there. That's my child coming to rest one layer below the surface of the rest of my life there. August 19th, 2014, St. Louis, Missouri. Kajim Powell, 25, was accused of shoplifting donuts and energy drinks. Police said the mentally disturbed man approached with a knife in an overhand grip. They shot him dead 15 seconds after they arrived. Video shows that Powell's empty hands were at his side. I am the mother of that darkest magician. His 1,000 limbs thrash in and out of your practice sightline. He is always behind, beside, and in front of you. He lunges for your neck while whistling on a side street 3 blocks away. Firepower throbs in every finger of his bound and idle hands. No matter where he is the leading man in the stuttering convenience store video. If he is not there, he will be. If he hasn't, he is about to. If a blade's not in his hand, it's in his hand. If his hands are up, they're clawing through his pockets for something. If he's screeching, "Don't shoot," he's clearly saying, "Please, I'm tired. Help me fall down." March 3rd, 2014, Iberia Parish, Louisiana. Police say that Victor White III, 22, shot himself while handcuffed in the back of a police cruiser. November 19th, 2013, Durham, North Carolina. Police say that Jesus Huerta, 17, shot himself while handcuffed in the back of a police cruiser. July 29th, 2012, Jonesboro, Arkansas. Police say that Chavis Carter, 21, shot himself while handcuffed in the back of a police cruiser. He reached back and found his own hands with his own hands, worked his bound fingers to set his free fingers loose, then used that shackled hand to free the other shackled hand, and the freed shackled hand, still shackled, was still bound to the other hand once both were free. Once free in the shackled hand turned to the matter of the gun, which couldn't be there because they'd searched my baby twice, and a gun is a pretty big thing unless it isn't, unless it is dreamed alive by hands that believe they are no longer shackled. Stunned in cuffs, but free and searching, the left and right hands found a gun with a stink like voodoo, a gun that couldn't have been there, wasn't there, but was. The left-handed him used a cuffed hand, which could have been either left or right since both were free, to root around for a trigger and fire a bullet right into his left-handed head, impossible but not really, since the preferred killing hand may have preferred its shackles. The policeman, who had searched my baby twice and cuffed both his free and unfree hands behind his back before his hands found his own hands and pulled, heard no human sound at all during all that frantic magic. No, as my boy struggled to get his left shackled hand to do what his right shackled hand wouldn't do. No frenzied pound of one bracing foot against the door. No grunt or whoop of glee to mark all those times he slipped out of custody and in again. But they did hear the bang of the gun that wasn't there but was, just when it sent that bullet into the right side of his left-handed head. Sounds like sacrifice, they thought. Slumped, eyes cocked and undone, my child was amazed at the sweet hoodoo he had managed. Both left and right hands were shackled and free behind him. There was an eerie, perfect circle of smoke in his hair. Suicide, they both said, at the very same time, and since it was odd how they had reached the same conclusion, they smiled and shook their heads. Noting the shackles, they praised their God in the light of miracle, while the boy who couldn't have done what he did, but did, bled down to zero. Guess he couldn't take it, one of the alive said to the other. He didn't mean wearing the shackles. He meant not wearing them. March 12, 2012, Pasadena, California. Kendrick McDade, 19, was chased and shot 7 times by 2 police officers after a 911 caller falsely reported being robbed at gunpoint by 2 black men. McDade's final words were, "Why did they shoot me?" As the moon tangled its beams and grew monstrous over his body, he wanted that answer. As usual, I arrived too late. He had already dispersed and become an awkward hour. Son of the mother of mistake, his timing and route were askew. But because walk, because upright, because Africa, because decision, because Tuesday, because loaded gun, because running, because too black, because identified, because uniform, because breathless, because unable, because America, because your mama, because Mississippi, because uniform, because Obama, because the chase, because unarmed, because convenient, because mistaken, because threatened, because ritual, because no one will miss you, because no one will miss you, because nobody's gonna miss you, because beast, because innocent, because they could, because they could, because they could. You see, they could, because they... I usually give my boys names anybody can remember. Scapegoat, target, perp walk, oversight. The name Kendrick so squashed his potential, he should have been victim, identify, bullseye. How about accident? Perfect. I never had children. I just had accidents. September 14th, 2013, Bradfield Farms, North Carolina. After being involved in a traffic accident, Jonathan Farrell, 24, knocked on the door of a nearby house for help. The woman inside called the police. They arrived and shot him 10 times. My son said, "I just had an accident. I need to use the phone." She said, "You're black." My son said, "It'll only take a minute. I need to call the police." She heard, "Call the police." My son said, I know it's late, but I just had an accident." She said, 911. He said, "Okay then, you'll call 911? She said, "You're black." The police said, "Is he black?" She said, "He's black." When the gun arrived, it said, "I just had an accident." The gun 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 said, I just had an accident. The gun said, I just had an accident. The gun said, I just had. Once I put this baby in the ground, I'm ready. This means war. Geneva Reedville, mother of Sandra Bland, addressing the congregation at Johnson Philip All Faiths Church, Prairie View, Texas. I don't expect you'll recognize my voice. No matter that I populate your world with demons and obstructions, dangerous assumptions. I am the mother of the hung, the misted head, the pistol whipped, the hands that found the hands, the tasered crazy girl, and all the magic real that you can stand. I thought perhaps I'd let you see that I am flesh and bone and pulse, that in the night I wail with want of them. And yes, I know I entertain you, digitized, my break and fall rewound, replayed, and tabbed. But now I fight my collapse, that ugly twist that grief brings to my face to make you laugh. I'm here to say their bodies weren't at war with you. I'm here to say their bodies weren't at war with you. I'm here to say their wars were in their bodies. And the battlefield was always yours, was always yours, was all. How am I doing? Okay. Everybody okay? Okay. Well, I was just watching the press conference the other day, and I was watching the president tell a black woman to sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Shut up. Sit down. You're being stupid. So we have to raise our voices while we still can, while it's still legal. All right, I'm gonna, thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks. All right, now I think we need some music, right? We need some music? How many Motown babies we have in here? Whenever I'm allowed to listen to music, whenever I listen to music, I'm kind of a freak, really. So I was in the car with my husband, and we were driving some long distance, and we had on the oldie station. And when I was a kid, I used to take the transistor, remember the transistor with the one antenna and the knob to go, okay. I used to put it in my bed and listen to music all night long. And in Chicago, where I'm from, one of the stations would go off at night, and then there were these national stations like WLS and stuff like that that would stay on all night. So I will bet you any amount of money, if you put on the oldie station right now, I will sing from beginning to end 90% of the songs that come on. I was in the middle of some association song, Never My Love, you know, and my husband started to kind of look at me weird, and then Neil Diamond came on, and I loves me some Neil Diamond, okay? So I was singing that, and he said, you know what we should do? We should just travel the country, go into a place with a jukebox, put down a whole bunch of money, bet them that you can sing the songs, take the money, and then screech out of town, and just do that all the way across the country. I said, if we went across this country, we'd be screeching out of town anyway. Anyway, so I love the Temptations and I love the Miracles. And Motown music, when you think about it, the guys were always begging for something. They were always begging for the women to come back to them or look at the, you know, and see, that messed us up, because we grew up expecting, like, you know, a naked Smokey Robinson to come by and beg us for stuff, but it didn't happen. So anyway, so this is kind of about how that era kind of screwed us up. It's a crown of sonnets. Can I read a crown of sonnets at this point? You have to say yes, because it's... Yes. Oh. Okay, so it's a crown of sonnets, And it's like, it's a bunch of sonnets, and the last line of one becomes the first line of the other, and then the last sonnet is comprised of the first lines of all the other sonnets. And it was a pain in the ass to write. But it's got music, okay? You ready? Okay. I love reading this. The Temps, all swerve and pivot, conjured schemes that had us skipping school, made us forget how mama schooled us hard against the threat of 5-part harmony and shark-skinned seams. We spent our school days balanced on the beams of moon we wished upon, the needle jet black 45s that spun and hadn't yet become the dizzy spinning of our dreams. Sugar pie, honey bunch, oh, you loved our tangled hair and rusty knees. Marvin Gaye slowed down while we gave chase, then wowed us with his skinny hips on cue. We hungered for the anguished screech of please from soulful throats, relentless and booming bass. From soulful throats, relentless booming bass softened with the turn of Smokey's key. His languid, liquid, luscious, aching plea for bodies we didn't have yet made a case for lying to ourselves. He would embrace our naps and raging pimples. We could see his croon inside our clothes. His pedigree of milky, flawless skin meant we'd replace our daddies with his fine and lanky frame. I did you wrong, my heart went out to play, he serenaded, filling up the space that separated smoke from certain flame. Couldn't comprehend the drug of him, his sway, silk where his throat should be, he growled such grace. Silk where his throat should be and growling grace, little Stevie made us wonder why we even needed sight. His rhythm eye could see us click our hips and pump in place whenever he cut loose. Oh, we done lace our Converse All-Stars. Yeah, we wondered why we couldn't get down without our shoes. We tried to dance and keep up with his funky pace of hiss and howl and hum, and then he'd slow to twist our hearts until he heard them crack, ignoring lonesome leaking from the seams. The rocking blind boy couldn't help but show us light. We wailed his every soulful track through open windows and 'neath the door, pipe dreams. Through open windows, 'neath the door, pipe dreams served up Bone Bouffant, the serpentine, and bug-eyed Lady D, the boisterous queen of overdone, her body built from beams of awkward light. Her slithering extremes just made us feel so small, insanely lean. Everywhere she stepped, she caused the scene. We craved her wigs and waist and crafted schemes that would ensure our hips would soon be thin, that we'd hear symphonies. Wouldn't hurry, love, because Diana said, make sure it gleams no matter what it is. Her different spin, a voice like sugar air, no inkling of a soul beneath the vinyl, the Supremes. That soul beneath the vinyl, the Supremes knew nothing of it. They were breathy sighs and flowing hips, soul music's booby prize. But Mary Wells, so drained of self-esteem, was a pudgy, barstool-riding, buck-toothed dream who none of us would dare to idolize out loud. She had our nightmares memorized, and like or like it not, she wailed our theme, while her too blackness made us ill at ease, and we smeared Ultra on to reach for white. When Mary's My Guy blared, we didn't think race, because there was all that romance and the keys that Motown held. Unlocked, we'd soon ignite. We stockpiled extra sequins, just in case. We stockpiled extra sequins just in case the Marvelettes pronounced we'd benefit from little dabs of shine. If we could get inside their swirl, a kind of naughty place, we knew that all the boys would have to brace themselves against our heat, much too legit to dress up as some other thing. We split our blue jeans trying to match their pace, and soon our breasts began to pop. We spoke in bluer tones, and Berry Gordy looked and licked his lips. Our only saving grace, the luscious, liquid, languid tone of smoke, the soundtrack while our A-cup bras unhooked. Our sudden Negro hips required more space. Our sudden Negro hips required more space, where we pretended not to feel that spill that changed the way we walked. And yes, we still felt nappy, awkward, strangely out of place, while Motown crammed our eager hearts with lace and storylines. Romance was all uphill. No push, no prod, no bitter magic pill could lift us to its light, and not a trace of prizes they said we'd already won. As mamas called on Jesus, shook their heads and mourned our Delta names, we didn't deem to care. Religion? There was only one. We took transistor preachers to our beds, and Smokey sang a lyric dripping cream. You guys all right? Okay. While Smokey sang a lyric dripping cream, Levi tried to woo us with his growl. I can't help myself, admitted with a scowl. This bit of weakness was a clever scheme to keep us screaming. Front row, under gleam of lights, beside the speakers blasting vowels, we rocked and we steamed. Levi on the prowl glowed black, a savior in the stage light's beam. But then the stage light dimmed. And there we were, in bodies primed for what? We didn't know. We sang off key while skipping home alone. Deceptions that you sing to tend to blur and disappear in dance. Why is that so? Ask any colored girl and she will moan. Ask any colored girl and she will moan and answer with a downbeat and a sleek 5-part croon. She's dazzled and she'll shriek what she's been taught. She won't long be alone or crazed with wanting more. One day she'll own that quiet heart that Motown taught to speak. She'll know that being the same makes her unique. She'll worship at the God of microphone until the bass line booms, until some old temptation leers and says, I'll take you home and heal you in the way the music vowed. She's mesmerized, his moves, his teeth are gold. She dances to the drumbeat of his poem, remembering how love had lied so loud. Remembering how love had lied so loud, we tangled in the rhythms that we chose. Seduced by thumping sequins, heaven knows, we tried to live our hopeful lives unbowed, but bending led to break. We were so proud to mirror every lyric. Radios spit beg and mend, and sturdy stereos told us what we were and weren't allowed. Our daddies sweat in factories while we found other daddies under limelight's glow. Desperate, we begged them to illuminate the glitter lives they said they'd guarantee would save us, but instead, the crippling blow. We whimpered while the downbeat dangled bait. We whimpered while the downbeat dangled bait. We leapt and swallowed all the music said while Smokey laughed and Marvin fell and bled. Their sinning slapped us hard and slapped us straight. And even then, we listened for the great announcement of the drum, for tune to spread, a marvelette to pick up on the thread. But as we know by now, it's much too late to reconsider love, or claw our way through all the glow they tossed to slow our roll. What we know now, we should have always known. When Smokey winked at us and whispered, they don't love you like I do, he snagged our soul. We wound up doing the slow drag all alone. They made us do the slow drag all alone. They made us kiss our mirrors, deal with heat and hips we couldn't control. They danced deceit, and we did too, addicted to the drone of revelation and the verses thrown our way. Oh, love will rock your world. The sweet, sweet fairy tale we spin will certainly beat the real thing any day. Oh, yes, we own you now. We sang you pliable and clueless, waiting, waiting. Oh, the dream you'll hug one day, the boy who craves you right out loud in front of everyone. But we told you, we know we did. We preached it with a shrug. Less than perfect love was not allowed. Less than perfect love was not allowed. Temptations begged as if their every sway depended on you coming home to stay. Diana whispered air, aloof and proud, to be the perfect girl beneath a shroud of glitter and a fright she held at bay. And Michael Jackson, flailing in the fray of daddy love, succumbed to every crowd. What would we have done if not for them, wooing us with roses carved of sound and hiding muck we're born to navigate? Little did we know that they condemn us to live so tethered to the ground, while every song they sang told us to wait. Every song they sang told us to wait, and wait we did, our gangly heartbeats stunned and holding place. Already so outgunned, we little girls obeyed. And now it's late, and CDs spinning just intimidate. The songs all say, just look at what you've done. You've wished through your whole life. And one by one, your trusting sisters realize they don't rate. So now, at 50 plus, I turn around and see the glitter drifting in my wake and mingling with the dirt. My dingy dreams are shoved high on the shelf. They're wrapped and bound, so I can't see and contemplate that ache. The temps all swirl and pivot, conjured schemes. The temps all swirl and pivot, conjured schemes, from soulful throats, relentless booming bass, then silk where throats should be, much growling grace, from open window, neath the door, pipe dreams, that soul beneath the vinyl. The Supremes used to stockpile extra sequins, just in case Diana's Negro hips required more space, while Smokey penned a lyric dripping cream. Ask any colored girl and she will moan, remembering how love had lied so loud. I whimpered while the downbeat dangled bait and taught myself to slow drag all alone. Less than perfect love was not allowed, and every song they sang told me to wait.
Thank you all very, very much. Thank you, Christy.
And our final thanks, of course, are to you, our audience. This is community, my friends, and doesn't it feel pretty good? Good night. Thanks so much.